Welcome to the Vault Excel. Happy Sunday to the viewing audience. Thank you all so much for joining me. Please check my community board for updated stories and breaking news, polls, and movie suggestions for the weekend. I will bring you a new movie suggestion for the week or weekend this upcoming week. Thank you so much for your time. This is a 3-part live for your viewing pleasure. Colorado booby-trapped home. 2 people were arrested for allegedly booby-trapping their home. They've been accused of, I guess, endangering the lives of the public. You're entitled to your interpretation of the said allegations against the 2. Will Lori and Chad turn on one another? What will happen in court? They are both being tried separately. Miss Lori does not want the death penalty on the table. I brought you commentary pertaining to I believe it was an attorney speaking on why some people won't vote for a death penalty for a mother. Well, one can argue that to say, well, she never was anyone's mother because a mother wouldn't kill her children and a child she took in to raise as her own, which was JJ. I'm going to bring you some information from Wikipedia pertaining to the crime and allegations against she and Chad. You're entitled to your opinion if you believe either one is innocent, guilty of the said crimes, other murders pertaining to his wife, her husband. I'm going to dissect all of that during this live stream. And the other commentaries pertaining to Brian C. Kohberger, who's been accused of murdering 4 students out of Idaho. This is a part 2 of Stranger Danger. We're going to chop it up. This is your opportunity to give your opinion. The link is in the chat if you would like to hit the link to give your opinion on all 3 subject matters. If you hit the link, I'd like to hear your opinion on all 3. This is a 3-part live. Let's start with Mr. Kohberger. I'd like to get him out of the way. Thank you so much for your time. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeGanji129 Cash App. All stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. Have a prosperous week. Please be safe. Stay warm. Brian C. Kohberger, Stranger Danger. You don't know people. And Mr. Kohberger is evidence. If we're to believe he is the culprit in the quadruple homicide in Moscow, Idaho. 4 students. 3 who were living in the same house. 1 friend, Mr. Ethan Chapin. Who is Brian Kohberger? Would he have killed again had he not been arrested? Was he planning to kill again after killing these kids, allegedly? You hear lots of conversations pertaining to Kohberger's disposition, his conversations with different people. You're entitled to believe that these said conversations actually took place. But one could wonder, what was he doing when he was in Pennsylvania? Because you're going to ask yourself that if you are in tune to the storyline. What was he doing in Pennsylvania? What all did he do once he got to Washington State? Very brief stay. Fired as a professor's assistant. Biasness against women. Didn't know how to hold conversations with people. Was accused of being very creepy at a brewery back in Pennsylvania. Did they ever speak to him personally about his behavior? Or they just put him on the radar at this pub brewery? Was he put on radar any other establishments back in Pennsylvania? Did he assault any other women in Pennsylvania, physically, sexually, or murdered anyone else? Who is Brian Kohberger? He is the stranger that's amongst us, the stranger beside us. That is who Brian Kohberger is. He is like many serial killers and rapists, child molesters. He walks beside you, laughs, grins, uses the bathroom, eat. OCD, student, worked, but you didn't know him. You will never know him. Because in the end, you don't know anyone. We are all flawed and tainted. We're all capable of misdeeds, misgivings, crimes against humanity because we are human. And there will be another Kohberger because there's one walking out here right now. He's sitting beside you in class, at your job, restaurant. He's your neighbor. He is Kohberger. He is angry, bitter, mad, possibly intelligent, possibly unintelligent, educated, non-educated, garbage man, McDonald worker, Ivy League student. You see where I'm going with this. He is man. And there are also sadistic women as well. Did he work alone in the Idaho slangs? Is there anybody else walking out there that has knowledge of these crimes? Have people been too hasty in assuming others were involved, such as those who allegedly survived at the house? We'll touch on all points during this live stream. He is the stranger next door. And as I said, he won't be the last. Let's chop up some neighbor conversation. You entitled to believe this conversation took place or not? All these people chirping and chirping pertaining to Kohberger, what he said, didn't say. But it's obvious he had problems. He didn't know how to conduct himself civilly. He didn't know how to talk to people, engage with people, especially women. Incel has been brought up. I do not know. I don't put too many titles on a person who is sick. You're either sick or you ain't. Take your pick. As I said, we're all flawed. News Nation is my source of information. Thank you all so much for joining me. Kohberger's actions distract from the truth. An expert speaks. News Nation Prime. Thank you for joining me.
Here to talk more about it, retired FBI Special Agent, News Nation Law and Justice contributor, Jennifer Coffin Dapper. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you doing this evening?
Doing all right. Thanks for joining us. So if we can, let's tee up that soundbite because we hear from the neighbor of Brian Kohberger just days after the alleged killing, and sort of here's how he describes the interaction that he had. Watch it.
He was like, yeah, it seems like they don't have any leads. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's not much about it, you know? There's nothing, I don't know details really to say. But yeah, and then he's like, yeah, it seems like they think it was a crime of passion.
All right, so a couple different things there. What do you make of it? One, that he said there's no leads, but then two, that he also had a description about it, saying it was a crime of passion.
Well, he definitely, it would seem to me, said something to try to sort of distract from the reality of what was really happening. There obviously were leads. We had vehicle descriptions. There was video surveillance. There was a lot of information that was out there. And then also regarding the crime of passion, remember, there was no information regarding that. That was strictly something that I believe he said to distract from the truth.
So is this something that prosecutors could potentially use in an eventual case?
Possibly. I think that the other information they have, though, and facts in this case are so strong that this is such a small tidbit, it really won't be an important part of the case. What's going to be important is that physical evidence, putting him there at the crime, the DNA. That's going to be the focus of what the prosecutor presents.
We're also learning about his Kohberger, sort of his life existence. Sources telling News Nation about the jail that he's in one of 17 people there. He's not allowed to interact with the other inmates, but he is allowed to sit with others. What do you make of it, sort of his situation there inside the jail right now?
Well, he has a pretty good situation, all things being considered. He has a tablet he can use. He can have outside communication. He apparently, according to reporting, has his own television. And
yeah, what is that all about? When I read that, I was like, what? He's accused of brutally killing 4 people, and he has cable television and is allowed to demand which channel he wants. I think certainly when I read it, and I think when most people would hear that, they would say, what on earth is that?
Well, this shouldn't be too surprising, at least for those that are in law enforcement. Anytime I went and visited a jail, even prisons, they have cable, and they do it for distraction. They do it for entertainment of the inmates. I know originally when I first went to prison and found that out, I myself was appalled. But essentially, it's what they use to really keep the inmates under control and distracted and entertained.
We're also told that he is following the news coverage of himself. What to make of that when you look at the whole picture of Brian Kohberger and everything that we know about him?
Well, it makes a lot of sense, I think, for anyone. If anyone had been charged with a crime, whether they did or did not commit it, they would be glued to the information that they could get from it. So that made a lot of sense to me. If I were in his shoes, I would be having the television on. I would be looking at all the newsreels. I want to know what people are saying about me and what evidence they have so I can counter that.
We're also learning that he hasn't really sought out any sort of mental health services or help that's there. What do you make of Brian Kohberger sort of keeping sort of any sort of mental health at arm's length?
Well, two things. First, maybe he truly doesn't feel like there is anything wrong with him. We know from his previous writings that it would appear he does have some issues, visual snow and other issues he's discussed. So from that standpoint, it's a little surprising. Secondarily, he probably knows, being a criminology PhD, that in Idaho, there is no excuse under the law regarding your mental status except for to help with sentencing. So this would give you two reasons why he hasn't possibly sought any mental health services there.
Interesting. And we will stay on top of it, of course, here at News Nation. Jennifer Coffin, Dapper, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Ms. Coffin Dapper is the guest, former FBI agent. Please follow Jennifer Coffin Dapper on Twitter. She gives updates to true crime stories and voices her opinion on said matters. She also has put in her opinion pertaining to DM. Many people thinking that she has some involvement, and she feels as if DM or any other participant, such as Bethany, was involved, they would have had her and the other roommate arrested by now. You're entitled to your opinion. Some people feel that these two may know more, may be involved, or didn't do enough to preserve life on that fateful morning by not calling 911. You're entitled to your opinion. Chitter chatter from the neighbor across the hall, his wife, this guy who's been chuckling here in this interview. You hear audio of him laughing. Maybe it's just nervous laughing, but it's kind of creepy when you continuously do it. Maybe he didn't pay attention that he was laughing while, not want to say laughing, but I don't know how else to word it, but it comes off as creepy because you're talking about a creep that's killed people, stalked them. So when you say, oh, yeah, he talked about it after the fact, crime of passion. Did Kohberger say that? It's a crime of passion. So Kohberger, if you said that, did you mean it? Killing those kids was a crime of passion. How could it be a crime of passion when you've had no relationship with the victims? Because crime of passion is used in court trials for people who have been accused of murder or violent assault, and they had some entanglement with the victim or victims. And we don't have any information that you knew these kids or dated any of them. So if that's true that you said that and you meant that, then why would you say it? Because you did not know these kids. You didn't fool with them. They didn't fool with you. They didn't date you. You weren't their friend, vice versa. So why would you tell this guy that if indeed you said it? I'd like to know. All this nonsense about his diet, TV program. Yes, jails have TV. Yes, they give you tablets. Yes, you do video calls with your family members' friends. All jails are not the same, so I'm not going to say every jail is made up the same, but I do know they do use monitors to sit in the conference room for people to come in to visit the visitor's room, and they can look at a monitor and talk to the inmate. The inmate also has access to a tablet. It may be one tablet per cell. So now all these people have to share the tablet to try to converse and look at text messaging. You can send messaging. You have to pay for all this through cards. the messaging and the video chatting. For those that did not know this, this is the new standard now for conversing with people from the inside to the outside. He has access to a TV, his own TV. He can change, ask for the channels to be changed, blah, blah, blah. He's watching his trial. Well, it would make sense to watch any coverage on the news. That's right, as to use to his defense. All these rumors, innuendos, people chit-chatting, such as this guy here, he needs to know this. Why would he not want to know it? Because he can counteract and say, yeah, I said that. No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't talk to him. No, I didn't talk to her. No, that's not true. It will be helpful for him to watch anything pertaining to his livelihood. Any allegations against him, conversations, whether they're true or not. So what is it that he's watching inside of the jail? I don't really care. I'm just bringing you the information because News Nation has just been on one with all this gossip about who said what, who shot Roger Rabbit pertaining to Kohberger. I don't really give a damn about him. I don't give a damn about what he's eating. I don't care about a tablet, the TV. You hear Coffin Dapper saying she was appalled by going into prison systems and seeing TVs. Well, Coffin Dapper, come on now. You know they've got to have some type of TV in the prison. Maybe not the jail, but in prison, most definitely. I've seen pictures of a flat screen inside of somebody's cell. And trust me, it was not your average size 32-inch or 20-inch TV. It was a big boy. Now, how did it get in that cell? I don't know. Somebody brought it in there. Now, imagine that. What is he watching on TV? Does he ask for the channels to be changed? Do they readily change the channels when he asks? Has anyone said anything to him overt pertaining to the allegations against him? The charges against him? Has he said anything to anyone? They said he's not in general population, but yet how did they word it? He sits with them. That makes no sense to me. I can't sit next to somebody that I'm not supposed to be around. So what is the truth? You mean he sits with them when what? They have to go to the meds, see the doctor, the nurse, or when it's time to go to a court hearing, but he's not actually going out in the rec room when they let them out for their, 30-minute hour break. I'm confused. It's been asked about his parents coming to see him. I saw that on Twitter earlier today. I don't think the parents have traveled to Idaho to see their son. It's a long way, a lot of money to travel by plane or car. Will they come to see their son at some point, the parents? Will there be other people coming to see him, such as his sister, any other friends, associates? Does he have any friends, associates? What was he doing in Washington and Idaho before the murders, during the murders, and before he left for Pennsylvania? What was Kohberger doing? Was he reaching out to other women by social media? Did he also get perturbed by not getting a response from any other women? Or did he get some responses, but it never went anywhere? Has he dated anyone since being in Washington State? Any dinner dates, lunch dates, phone conversations, even texting, video chats, any type of exchange of conversation, pictures, whether they be lewd or not? Has he even been with a woman before sexually? Brian Kohberger. I'm curious. Because what if we're talking about a 28-year-old virgin? Very interesting. Latching on to people. You hear a guy speaking about that here at News Nation. Some guy that met him at a pool party. They said allegedly before the murders. Then he saw him again somewhere. They didn't clarify where he saw this guy, but the guy said he acted as if he's known me or that we were friendly. So what was up with that? Kohberger making some type of connection with this guy? Or it's just the obvious. He's a lonely creature, as I told you in a live yesterday. He's a lonely creature. He doesn't make friends readily, easily. So anybody that he knew from yesterday, 3 weeks ago, he sees him again, he latches on. Hey, how you doing? What you doing? How you been? What's the truth? The neighbor across the hall, that guy wanted him to come visit, but he told his wife he'd like to, interact. But the wife said no. Why? What did the wife see and hear during those short months of Kohberger being their neighbor? Was he lurking around the apartment complex, doing the same crazy, creepy stuff he was doing in Pennsylvania when he was apprehended, such as emptying trash in different bags, which makes no sense because you are your DNA. Your DNA is you. So therefore, he should have threw his own self in the damn garbage can. How about that? Dividing up trash is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. OCD or not, I don't see putting things in separate bags except for things as hamburger, meat, packaging, chicken packaging. That way you don't stink up your garbage can. You either put it in a separate bag to put in the waste basket, or you put it in an individual bag and take it directly to the dumpster. So what's the truth about what he was doing when he was apprehended? What was he doing? Same behavior when he was in Washington. Was he putting different packages of things that with his fingerprints, DNA in separate bags? Was he going to the garbage can often in his apartment complex? Was he lurking around the apartment complex, peeping through windows, standing outside of doorways? What was it that perturbed or was negative in the eye of the neighbor, the female neighbor, the wife or whomever of this gentleman? Did she see Kohberger doing something suspicious? Did he say something to her out of the way? Was he watching her? Ask that question. What's the truth? There's been some nefarious behavior going on in that town since his arrest. I brought you that said information of a peeping Tom and a man trying to bust his way into a woman's apartment. She was walking home from work. As I said before, you don't know people. And there will be another Kohberger. That's obvious. Same town. Same creepy behavior. No arrest to my knowledge. If so, I'll make a clarification on those two separate incidents. So how creepy is that? One guy trying to bust into a woman's apartment, foreign exchange student at the same university, and then another jurisdiction in the same town, there's some guy walking around peeping through people's windows in their houses. Stay woke now. And their last name is not Kohberger, because Kohberger was already in custody when these two separate incidents occurred. Stranger danger. That's Brian C. Kohberger. Who knows him best? Mommy, daddy, sister? What do they have to say pertaining to their golden boy? Is he a disappointment to them? Or do they believe the son is innocent, brother is innocent? Do they support Brian C. Kohberger? Who else will come out with a story to tell us about this awkward 28-year-old? We've gotten information from high school up until 28, college students, people that hung with him in high schools, female. Not a lot of people, but a few. I think an aunt has spoken out in the beginning. Will his parents do an interview with a news entity to tell us who their son is or who they thought he was? Because who you are and who I think you are is two different things. Because in the end, as I keep saying, you don't know people. The nicest person can be pushed to madness, foolishness, mayhem. I think we've seen this. Awkward, shy, quirky, can become a serial killer. The all-American guy, popular, handsome. He's a rapist, child molester, liar, thief, whoremonger. Pick a box. Same for a female. It's all the same. When did he decide to become a killer, Mr. Kohberger? Pennsylvania? Washington? What was so intriguing about the 3 girls, or all 5? Why were 2 spared? Going to ask that. Going to keep asking that to the very end. Brazenness to reach out to anyone by person or by phone, email, social media. Is it not? Hey, how you doing? Like your pictures. You're pretty. Can we meet up sometime? Or, hey, you got a boyfriend, husband? Are you married? You like tall men, white men? What? I want to date you. I want to like you. I want to stab you to death. How did it go? Stay woke. Want to have sex with you. You like sex? See, people can get in that inbox and say a multitude of things to you. A lot of people use social media now because that's easier access to you. Just send a friend request or message request and just go on and on and on about what I want to do to you. My fantasy, plural. I want to do this to you. I want to do that to you. Some people say some very nasty things in those message boxes. Best thing for you to do, delete, block, keep it moving. Or block, delete. As not to have any problems down the road. But as you see in this storyline, even ignoring a person can land him or her at your front door. Stay woke. Now imagine that. That's why they tell you there's no really safe way of handling a crazy person. Whether you dated them, didn't date them, had sex with them, married to them, divorced them, leave them, ghost them. No such thing as ignoring a 2-legged creature. I think we know this now from dealing with this Kohberger case. She's not responding to me. What have I done to her? I just said hello. Damn, another one don't like me. I'll fix that. I'm going to now go where you be. You're just 15 minutes away. It's nowhere. I got gas. I have a car. I'll drive over to Moscow. Think you're going to ignore me? Who are you to ignore me? You all been doing this to me all my life. Okay, I'm a loser. 28-year-old loser. No friends, no family. Nobody likes me. Nobody talks to me. When I try to talk to people, I push them away. I'm creepy. I'll do you one better. As they say in the street, I owe you one. Be very careful. Because you see, you think you're playing it safe by ignoring people in that damn inbox. That's what you're telling yourself. I don't know him. I don't know her. I don't have to respond. I don't know him. I don't want to be their friend. But you don't know their mindset and their capabilities to find you. So as I've told you before, it doesn't matter about what you post publicly, putting all that personal information about where you work, your telephone number, all that. I told you don't do that. But in the end, if someone wants to find you, he or she will, because people are walkie talkies. And so long as you have a little bird that likes to talk, you can be found. Number 2, search engines, paying sites that will give up personal information such as addresses, phone numbers, work history, relatives, also dangerous. We're in a technical world that doesn't mind giving up personal information for a finder's fee. And you have people who revel in this every day. Oh, I'll just go pay the site. I'll find her for you. I'll find him for you. I'll message them. No, thank you. As I've told many fans since I've been on this wire, I don't have that kind of time to indulge in finding people. I don't like hunting people down through IG, Facebook. It's time consuming. Because in the end, you're doing what others have been accused of, such as Brian C. Kohberger. Stay woke now. And I tell the fans that when you talk like that, I'll find him. I'll look her up. I'll get the skinny on them. You sound just as crazy as the people we're talking about in the storyline. And some of you get offended, but I tell you, oh, don't get offended. Just, you need to know your lane. Because you don't want to be categorized as a sadist. Because, see, there's a fine line in that search engine to where you're doing it all day, all night. You don't have time for anything else. See, social media can be very dangerous. And that's what happened here with Mr. Kohberger. Instead of him focusing on his studies, focusing on the PhD program, focusing on working a job as a professor's assistant, trying to seek a job with the Washington, that city's police department, he lost his way. And there are other people just like him out here. They may not be rapists, pedophiles, peeping toms, but they like to scour the internet and jumping in inboxes. It's a dangerous place to play. You know, it's kind of like sticking your head through metal bars, wooden bars and wooden beams. Easy to get your head in, but you may not be able to get your head out, if you understand what I'm saying. Was he easily offended, BK? They bullied me, talked about me. I was a fat kid. I lost the weight. I was a drug addict, and now I still can't make friends. Nobody likes me. I'm unapproachable. I'm creepy. I ask stupid questions to strange women that don't know me. And as I told you before, you don't answer personal questions. You don't feel comfortable. That's a bad sign, someone asking a lady in a bar, where do you live? Why? I don't know you. Here in the South, people talk a lot and they ask personal questions. I had that experience Friday night. What line of work are you in? Why? Is this a job interview? I'm trying to enjoy myself, listen to the music. People watch, mingle. I didn't come here for a question and fill out a questionnaire, if you see where I'm going with this conversation. But you have men like that. And I could tell this guy I was talking to, he was easily offended because I wasn't answering the questions fast enough. But that's the point of the story. I didn't come out to be interrogated. I wanted to have fun. I want to enjoy myself, trying to get a little R&R, but you are blocking my view with your damn questions. Maybe that's how those ladies felt when Kohberger was interrogating them in the brewery. Hi, how you doing? My name's Brian. Where do you live? Excuse me? I don't know you. Where do you live? What do you do for a living? So that's how you flip it back. And you ask question for question for question, and then they'll get a taste of their own medicine and realize, damn, I ain't getting time to answer. Well, isn't that what you're doing to me? And some people would say, oh, it's just harmless chatter. What's the big deal? It is a big deal because this same MF has been accused of butchering 4 kids. So hell yeah, it's a real big deal. Because you don't have any business giving out personal information all of 20 seconds of meeting somebody. Oh, and by the way, I didn't send for you, BK. So I don't owe you anything. Now imagine some foolish person saying, oh, I live at 2510, Rockingham Circle. And get home, who's standing there waiting for you at the damn door? BK, stay woke. Or any other creepy guy you just randomly give your damn address to. Hey, where do you work? Oh, I work at Starbucks on 15th Street. Now you've got BK at the Starbucks or sitting outside at the lamppost watching you. You better pay attention. Because maybe that was the start a few years back when he was going to this brewery and coming on strong to these gals. Maybe it wasn't just innocent flirtation, awkward conversation. He was on the hunt then. How easy to stalk you if I know where to stalk you. You stupid enough to give me your damn information. Oh yeah, I live over here. I live over there. Well, now I'm over there watching you, watching your coming and your going, trying to see where you're going. Exactly, Penton. You have to be careful what you tell people. Because as I tell you all, everybody works differently. Different regions of the United States, people conduct themselves differently. As I said, I live here in the dirty South. We talk a lot here. We tell too much. This is probably the only place in the world where I know people just tell every damn thing. Where they live, what happened to their mama, their daddy, their kids, who's on drugs, what happened to them in 1952, and don't even know your damn name and social security number. And already you know everything about a person, all of 5 minutes of conversation, and you didn't send for them either. In the doctor's office, you got to tell me about why you're there. What happened to your car? What's wrong with your son, your daughter? You see where I'm going with this conversation? You see, Kohberger would have loved to be in East Tennessee. He wouldn't have had to do no work because these people would have willingly given him the 411. I get off of work at 5. I work 3 days a week. He would have had the time, the place, the ammunition. You have to be careful what you say to people. Please stop divulging personal information because there's another Kohberger walking around as I speak. There's another Kohberger lying in wait. There's another Kohberger in somebody's inbox, following them at their job, their home, apartment complex, condo. Please stop talking. Stop telling all your damn business. Stop posting stupid stuff on your Facebook page. Take all that junk off your Facebook info page. People know you. They don't need to know your whole government name, where you work, your cell phone number, home number, how many kids you got. Save that for Uncle Sam. Okay? Save that for Uncle Sam. He knows how to find you. The rest of us don't need to know how to find you. Was he a creeper in Pennsylvania? When did he decide that murder would be his friend? BK. Was he stalking, peeping, creeping, inboxing any woman in the state of Pennsylvania or any other state besides Idaho? What was so, I don't know the word really to use for why he chose these kids, but why them? Because in the end, as I tell people, if it wasn't them, it was going to be somebody else, because it always is. And when you look at serial killers and they have a high number count, such as Gacy, Theodore Bundy, it doesn't even matter. They're just a target. Short hair, long hair, blonde, brown, doesn't matter. Black, white, Hispanic, doesn't matter. It's the thrill. It's the hunt. The control. It's going to be somebody's child, somebody's daughter, sister, brother, cousin, mother. That's the point. It's going to be somebody. And if it had not been Ethan, Xana, Maddie, Kaylee, it was going to be somebody's daughter's son, because that's obvious, due to the fact that he killed a man as well inside of that house on that fateful morning. The brazenness to, one, stalk a human being, Go where they live, where they play. Go to school, work. Go to their address and make your way in. So we have to ask ourselves that question as well. How did BK get inside of that house to inflict harm on these individuals? If these kids didn't lock the door, then he walked on in. Open invitation to anyone, predator or not. But once you decide to go in someone's house unannounced, you are a predator, whether you're a friend or not, because it's rude to walk into someone's house, even if you're friends with them. Even if you're a family member, you just don't walk into people's houses. And some people have that type of open door policy, but it's wrong, because what happens is, as I said to you, people talk. And it's only a matter of time. The wrong person is going to tell the wrong person, your door stays unlocked. You put a key in the flower pot, under the rug. Now we've got a stranger staring you in your sleep, stealing stuff out of your house, or worst case scenario, physically assaulting you and killing you. Know what to tell people and what not to tell people, because you cannot trust people. And a lot of people are now dead because of stuff they told somebody else about their comings and goings. Because, as I said, people talk. Oh, yeah, my sister, she'll be out of town for the weekend and she won't be back until Sunday night. And, oh, yeah, my brother, he went skiing. And shut up. You have to be very careful of your conversations, because people like to nitpick, poke, prod, and creep about. That's why if you ever are in a conversation where a person is asking too many personal questions about another person, before answering, you might want to ask him or her, why are you asking me? What's the point of this conversation? Where does she live? She have children? What time does she get off from work? Why? Oh, I was just curious. Why? I don't know. And I prefer not to talk about her. End the conversation. Because what can be construed as innocent chitter chatter can be somebody trying to lie in wait. You're not thinking no big deal. You might be just talking to a guy that you're cool with, passerby, and he's just asking you information about a female. You don't think another thing about it. Oh, yeah, she works for AT&T, and she works Monday through Friday. She lives over there on 15th Street. Well, now you've given a demon seed ammunition. And who's to say that Kohberger didn't ask people personal questions about these kids? He likes to talk. He likes to be seen. He's a know-it-all, a busybody. Am I to believe he never asked anybody anything about these kids? Oh, I got a feeling he probably has. And somebody kindly obliged. Will we find out later that there were some Walkie Talkies in Idaho that gave out personal information pertaining to the girls in the house? Because perhaps he liked all 5 of the girls, but his fixation was on maybe just one. But they all were part of the one, if you understand where I'm coming from. He looked at them all the same. I like her. She don't like me. I'm pissed off at her. Hell, I'm pissed off at them other broads too. They're just like her. Pretty girls think they're better than everybody. Won't give me a chance. She won't give me a chance. I know her buddies wouldn't give me a chance. And any other pretty girl like her wouldn't give me a chance. I want them all dead. Give a damn about her friends. You see, you have people who think like that. They're mad at the one, but they're going to take down everybody that's in the vicinity or affiliated with the one. That's Brian C. Kohberger. I want them all down. Those are her comrades. They got to go too. See, you don't know people. And I won't doubt that he's done this behavior in Pennsylvania, that he deliberately moved to Washington State and applied to this university to get out of the way of his friends and family to do this creepy behavior. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that his intention was possibly to come out here to the West to kill and also perfect his craft in this psychology department, criminology. He's the walking wounded. Been looking for a target of targets for some time. But he had to build up the courage like most sadists. You have to have a start. And perhaps this was his start, stalking the girls, and then making his way to the address. And he had to have been confident enough to know that he could get in and get out and not even care about CCTV footage, audio, doorbell cameras, security cameras. That means he's lied in wait and he's watched. And he's watched the behavior of these females. He's watched the behavior of their comrades, friends. And on this fateful morning, he took a chance. And he got in. So despite the stupid mistakes that Kohberger made, he still executed the plan. And that's the one thing you can't say he got wrong. Because he had to have gone in with a purpose. Because one, he didn't know these kids. And it takes a brazen you-know-what to one, stalk you, plan to kill you, and then execute the plan. But where he messed up, he was seen. And he left a blueprint on social media devices, so on and so forth. Left behind DNA, probably kept some things from the crime scene, and that's where he hung himself. By the grace of God. He was a fool. But in his mind, he didn't care or didn't plan it properly. Either one or both. So I want to thank Kohberger for being a fool. Because you see, when you get a big head and you can't be told anything, you're a know-it-all, you're a narcissist, you're cocky, you're arrogant, you're full of yourself, you have a God complex, you're going to mess up. 50 ways to kill a person, 100 ways to get caught. That's Brian C. Kohberger. And like so many others. Because now people have surveillance. So they can see you going up and down the street, walking, talking, driving. And what is not important at the time, being caught on the footage, will later hang a person. Which I believe will hang Kohberger when he goes to trial. And I pray the 12 members of the jury will see fit to put him down like a rabid dog. And yes, give him the death penalty. Life would be too kind. How is he managing inside of the jail? He can't roam, can't go anywhere. Same clothes, same underwear, same shoes, same socks, same blanket, same cot, same cell. No conversations with the outside. The same people he deemed below him. Now you're just a number and a lump of clay in a cell. You're a nobody. You're not deemed important. And see, that's where he messed up. He could have been greater in life when he was free. But he wasn't humble. So he taught himself a lesson. I'm already a bum. I'm already a nobody. Let me go out here and kill these kids to just become a number in a cell. And the hottest topic on YouTube. and News Nation. Keeping it real. Thank you all for joining this live stream. This is a 3-part live pertaining to Brian Kohberger, Lori and Chad, Daybell, and a couple arrested for booby-trapped in their house in Colorado. Thank you for your time. Did he lie in wait in Pennsylvania for any women before he came to Washington State or when he got back a few months ago? How long did he plan the murders of these kids? Because he was only in Washington a short time. So what is the date that he decided these children were not worthy of life? Has he done this behavior before, stalking and messaging women? Has he messaged any students at the school in Washington? Did he message anybody that he was teaching? Not too many people talk about that. Fired as an assistant, biasness against women. Obviously, he hated women, because you can't murder that many women and say you like women, because those kids didn't know him. They didn't do anything to him. So why did he kill them? Could he have gotten some help, mental health, therapy, to control his urges for violence? He is obviously a violent human being. He has no self-control, no impulse control. Was he going to murder again? I say yes. You can kill 4 people in one whop. You can do it again. What was the cooling off period? How long was it going to be before he struck again? Would he strike? Would he have done it in Washington or back to Idaho? Made his way to Oregon. Did he deliberately move to Washington State to kill somebody? Plural. Will we hear that he's done other nefarious behavior in Idaho, Washington, in between, and also Pennsylvania? Does his parents know the real Brian C. Kohberger? Did they have any idea that their son was a creeper and also capable of murder? Will we later find out they've always known he was off, not right, not mentally stable? That he had more than just identity issues and a drug problem? That their son is Satan himself? Will this family admit the truth that they knew all along he was the devil? Or they will play coy to the very end and uphold their son? Because what will be sick if these people play the role like Chris Watts' mother did and father, and aid their child even while incarcerated in the jail and prison system, and still get a guilty verdict and uphold their son? Because I find it devastating to the human spirit that you will aid a killer, whether it be your son, your brother, or whomever, and they willingly kill more than one person for no damn reason, such as Mr. Watts killing his wife and his children, one in the womb and 2 little girls, with absolutely no remorse. Does Kohberger have remorse for killing those kids? Or is he reveling inside of this cell? Yeah, I got them. Look at me. I'm the talk of the town. I wasn't important in life, but I'm important now, but incarcerated. Well, he may not have wanted to get help, because when you're a busybody, you usually don't think you have anything wrong with you. Whether you're an alcoholic, a drunk, a gambler, a liar, a thief, whatever. This is me. This is who I am. I like me. I don't need any help. And usually by the time some people get help, it's too late. They're too far gone. But as I said before, all things are possible through God if you believe in him. So we have to ask that as well, since church has been mentioned by News Nation. Does he go to church? Does he go to mass? Is he Catholic, Baptist, Jewish? What is he? What does he believe in? Because he can't believe in too much, because he murdered 4 kids for no reason. No way he could say he believes in God. No way he could say he's a Christian. To slaughter 4 kids brutally. And the fact that some of them fought back. No one can imagine fighting back for your life and looking in the eye of the killer, praying he or she will stop stabbing you. That's a horrific place to be. There's really no word for that. Fighting off a killer. Does he have remorse for killing those kids? How long did he plan the deaths of these kids? Because that's a short window from the time he got there to Washington versus when he killed the kids in November. It's a very short window. And the fact he went to that house so many times shows intent to do harm. Because why are you now showing up at the residence of these kids? So you have to pay close attention to the details. All this information released in the affidavit shows cause of intent to harm. You bought clothes. You bought weapons. You bought gloves. May have even bought a knife. Where is the knife? You went to the house so many times. Messaging them on Messenger. Message boxes. Possibly went by restaurant, school. How far down does this stalking go? And that's what the state is going to show 12 members of a jury. That he intended to inflict harm because he watched the house. Possibly followed them around. And he made way on that fateful morning onto the property and inside of the house. And naturally, you can pull up any location and get an aerial view and possibly an inside view of a house or an apartment. So you don't have to necessarily be in the house to know what it looked like and assume where people sleep in the house. That house was readily available on Zillow and other apartment sites, sadly. He was brazen, driving your car there, circling around the morning of, killing the kids and then also returning at 9-something in the morning. Why? He had no remorse. Hell, after the fact, right after, to even go back. And I believe he was spooked, scared the 2 times he was pulled over on his way back to Pennsylvania with his father. I believe that's why he was found dividing up trash when he was apprehended and they raided the house. But the stupid part of it is you can't erase your DNA. He couldn't erase himself. And this is what happens when you don't have common sense. He did not plan the crime thoroughly. One would say he didn't plan it at all. He just stalked the girls, went to the house, and made way in. But he didn't care about being seen, his car being seen, going and coming out. Will there be testimony of somebody actually seeing him come in and out? A description of what he had on? Besides DM seeing bushy eyebrows on a tall guy? Will there be somebody that can make him out even in the dark, going and coming out of that residence? What else left behind at the scene besides touch DNA on the sheath button? Hair, skin cells under the victims, nails, sweat, left latent footprint, dusted and was accumulated. Some mean work. He was a fool. A foolish sadist who didn't care, obviously. He had no care for humanity. he had no care for these children because, you see, he never cared for himself. In order to love somebody else, you'd have to love yourself. And Kohberger has no love for self. That's why it was no problem hunting these kids and killing them as prey. And I believe he did the same creepy behavior back in Pennsylvania. He just possibly didn't act on it. And I believe that's the reason why he traveled to the Pacific Northwest, serial killer country, to exact the crime of murder, plural. Later today, I will be bringing you a true crime story in the crime vault of a young lady that was murdered back in 2012, Deshonta Murphy. Her brother would like to speak to this viewing audience to give you his opinion pertaining to the brutal stabbing of his sister and the suspect, who is now back in court on violation of probation. He was given a 10-year probation for the murder of Deshonta Murphy, and her brother would like to speak to the Vault XL on his court appearances, him violating probation, and what he hopes happens to this male who killed his sister many years ago. Thank you for your time. Subject matter number 2. It's pertaining to a Colorado story of a couple booby-trapped in their house. Very interesting information. Lord have mercy. I'm going to bring you that. 2 arrested after front door booby-trap injures visitor in Colorado. News Nation is the source. Hit the link to be heard. 3-part live today. The third subject is Chad and Lori Daybell. Will they turn on one another? Thank you for your time.
They set up around their own home. The bizarre crime is sparking debate on whether this should be considered a crime at all. Joshua Short from our Denver station looked into what you can and cannot do on your own property.
Tonight, there are no shortage of questions connected to what happened outside this Highlands Ranch home last week. A booby trap hurting a salesman. The device was one of 2 on the property and left the man hospitalized. 61-year-old Brian Hill and 53-year-old Tracy Remington were both arrested on several charges, including second-degree assault, felony menacing, and prohibited use of a weapon. In police paperwork, investigators said Hill set up the devices and Remington knowingly agreed with him to place them. Booby traps, legal or not legal? Booby traps are always illegal. We're getting a legal lesson tonight from Fox 31 legal analyst George Brockler. He's clearing the air after this story triggered dozens of responses in the comment section of the Sheriff's Office Facebook page, some questioning the crime itself or even claiming the punishment was too severe. You want to live in a place where you can put up a wall that nobody can get beyond, that's one thing. But just setting up in suburbia with something that might cause serious bodily injury or death, just can't do it. The Douglas County Sheriff's Department responding to one comment with other ways to protect yourself and your home. But what if you had no trespassing signs like this home where this all happened? Do you have a right to booby trap your home? No, because you can't say no trespassing to public safety. For instance, if let's say there was a natural disaster and fire was going door to door to say, hey, there's a house on fire at the end of the block. We're coming to tell you to evacuate. No trespassing does not allow you to keep the fire from coming to the door to try to help you. Tonight, important reminders on the crucial steps homeowners should and shouldn't take when protecting your home.
All right, Joshua, thank you for that. Thank you for watching. Go to News Nation.
News Nation is the source, number 2, for this information. Thank you all so much for your time. All righty. I'm going to drop the link again if you want to give me your opinion pertaining to the 3 subject matters at hand. Hope you all are well out there. It's kind of cold here in the high 10, which I'm sure is cold in other places as well. Please stay warm. Please check out my community board for said updates to breaking news and other stories that I have covered recently. One second, you guys. All right, let's chop up this Story number 2. Very interesting. Was it wrong for them to booby-trap their house? Why did they booby-trap their house? Is this a case of something else going on with this family, couple? Was somebody stalking them, had been trying to break into their house, unwanted guests, unwanted salesperson? Who was the salesman? What is it that you were trying to sell when you breached the steps of this house and got entangled up? Will he sue this family for damages, for medical bills, pain, suffering? What has been going on with this family to feel the need to booby-trap their house, front and also back? Very interesting information. Here's the second source pertaining to this story. 2 arrested in Highlands Ranch booby-trap investigation. Douglas County deputies arrested 2 Highlands Ranch residents after a booby trap on their property sent a man to the hospital. Brian Hill, 61, Tracy Remington, 53, were taken into custody March 15th after a short standoff at their Ashburn Court residence, according to a sheriff's office news release. Deputies obtained a warrant to search the property after the man, a door-to-door salesman, reported being injured by a tripwire at the home on March 9th that triggered a device that set off a loud bang. The man told deputies a wire caught around his lower leg. Now let me go back because something is strange in this information here. The couple were taken into custody on the 15th, but the incident took place on the 9th. So that's 6 days. Why did it take 6 days for the deputies to execute a search warrant and a warrant against the 2? So did the man immediately file a report of damages to himself? What is the date that he went to the police station? Number 1. Did he have to go to the hospital? 6 days. Why 6 days? I'm curious. Deputies obtained a search warrant to search the property after the man, a door-to-door salesman, reported being injured by a tripwire at the home on March 9th that triggered a device that set off a loud bang. The man told deputies a wire caught around his lower leg. He said he felt pain in his ear and the incident affected his vision. He left the property with the help of a co-worker and was subsequently hospitalized, according to the sheriff's office. Okay, so here we hear that he was hospitalized. So how long was he hospitalized? According to the Remingtons and Hill's arrest affidavit, the tripwire set off a blank round from a 12-gauge shotgun. Deputies said they recovered wire traps that were set at the front and back entrances of the home. One trap was designed to spray a chemical agent like pepper spray when triggered, according to the affidavits. Hill and Remington were booked into the Douglas County Jail for felony second-degree assault, felony menacing, and misdemeanor prohibited use of a weapon. Bond for both was set at $25,000. Hill and Remington are scheduled to be in court on April 18th. The sheriff's office said an investigation is ongoing. Note, this story was updated March 17th with information from Tracy Remington's and Brian Hill's arrest affidavits. Do you think they should have been arrested for booby-trapping the front and the back of their house? Number 2, why did they booby-trap the house? How did they enter the house themselves? Did they work from home, never went outside? Because one would have to ask themselves, don't you go to the store? Don't you go to work, church, functions, go places? How often is the house booby-trapped? When do they take it down? So you have to ask all those questions. Why would these people booby-trap their house? This guy's a door-to-door salesman. Number 1, what does he sell? Number 2, how many times has he been to this residence trying to sell something? Is he known in the neighborhood for selling whatever it is? They said his coworker took him to the hospital. So did he have somebody else on the scene with him while trying to sell whatever it is he was trying to sell? Too many questions, no answers. Is there more going on in this story and the lives of these 2 people? Are these radical people? People that are standoffish, don't want people around them, don't like dealing with people. Then somebody's going to say, why are you living in a residential neighborhood? Why not go live out in the county on rural farmland? What's the truth about this couple? How long have they been together? What are their ideologies? Because one would have to ask these questions because that's just not normal to booby trap a house unless possibly you have had problems out of someone or something. If you need verification for this information, Highlands Ranch Herald, a Colorado community media, is the source for this information. Wire trap device on the front step injured a man. Brian Hill, 61, Tracy Remington, 53, taken into custody March 5th after a short standoff, according to Sheriff's Department. So now let's question that. Why was there a standoff at the location when they went there to search the house, deputies? It seems like there's more going on with this couple because the behavior is strange. Who booby traps a house knowing you have to go in and out of your house? Did they have problems out of this man? Have they had problems with burglaries? Do they have neighbor problems? Let's go there. Are they easy to get along with? Do they have criminal backgrounds? Have they had problems with other people in the past? Did they have any current legal troubles, probation, violations? Any arrest records on the books at the time of this incident? Stay woke, because I believe there's more to the story than somebody just getting tangled up in wire. They obviously have problems with neighbors, salesmen, robbery. There's something going on at this location. Who are these people and what's going on with them? Should they have been arrested, charged? Will the judge throw it out? Will the guy sue them? As you heard in this commentary, News Nation, if the fire department wanted to come to let you know there's a fire, your house is in danger, that it would be wrong for you to booby trap your house because now you're in conflict with someone trying to get help to you. And that's the fire department's job, to render aid, assistance, and warnings. So you booby trapping your house would, I guess, be considered a violation. Community violation. But then the flip side could be, this is my house. I should be able to do what I want on my property. You're at the step. That's my property. It's not the city's property, the county's property. Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong? Should these people have been charged for booby trapping their house? But as the flip side is, if indeed there is something going on in the community, that your house could be in jeopardy, your livelihood, the city has a right to approach your house to get aid to you. And we also have to ask, why was there a standoff? How long was it? 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3, 4? What are we saying? Why would there be a standoff? Why would you not let authorities in your house? Because you knew what happened to that guy. He probably was out there hollering and screaming. People probably came out watching, neighbors. You had to have known he was probably going to call law enforcement. So you had to have known they were going to come eventually. I just find it strange 6 days later. So now you have to ask, did law enforcement come sooner than 6 days, but were afraid to breach the steps or couldn't breach the steps because of another booby trap? Stay woke. Did law enforcement go to that house before the 15th to talk to this couple, but could not go because of the booby trap? And that would lead us to believe that's why there was a standoff, because they couldn't get up the steps because it was booby trapped again. 12-gauge shotgun with a blank. Wire. Very interesting story. Hit the link if you want to give your opinion pertaining to Brian Kohberger, stranger danger, the second subject matter of a Colorado family booby-trapped in their house. Third subject matter is Lori and Chad Daybell. Thank you for your time. Welcome to the Vault XL. Very weird. That's my second subject matter. I guess I have a difference of opinion. I can understand the side of the city, and I can understand these people want their property booby-trapped. Maybe they're having problems out of someone, something. Has this guy been harassing them? So you have to ask all those questions, before making a judgment. Why is this house booby-trapped? It is their house. They pay taxes. That's their house. So why are you going up there? It has also been mentioned, did the house have trespassing signs? Because a lot of people do have trespassing signs on their property, in their windows, on their trees. People that live out in rural America, they have them on their trees. So, don't go up that drive. I wouldn't go up that drive. I ain't lost nothing up there. I don't know them. I don't have any reason to be on somebody's driveway. Going up somebody's driveway. For what? Now, you have to ask yourself, do they get packages? Order from Amazon, FedEx, UPS, private delivery. How do they get their mail? From the U.S. mail. So see, there are a lot of questions you can ask with this story. Why did they booby-trap their house? For what reason? When did they start booby-trapping the house? How long have they been booby-trapping the house? Has anybody else been hurt by a contraption on the property? Will he sue this couple? Will he win? Civil lawsuit. Will the city cite them for having a booby trap? See how deep the rabbit hole can go with this subject matter. Thank you for joining me. Who are these people? Do they have current legal troubles besides this trap? Anybody stalking them, breaking into their house, broke into their house? Has somebody been bothering them, harassing them? The same guy, has he been on the property before, bothering them, won't leave them alone? What's going on here? Subject number 3, Chad and Lori Daybell. Hit the link to give your opinion. Make this live count. This next source is by Wikipedia, pertaining to Chad and Lori Daybell. Will they turn on one another? Information has come out pertaining to her deceased brother that his phone pings at Chad's house after the children went missing, were never found. Lori never told anybody where they could be found. The next year, the children were found on the property of Chad Daybell. A lot of shootings and murders have occurred pertaining to these two, and all within the same year. Months apart, people went missing. Wife dying, her husband dying, murdered by her brother. Too many coincidences pertaining to foolish and mayhem, Chad and Lori Daybell. And know that it's easier for a woman to marry somebody else or a husband if they are a widower. Because now you don't have to deal with divorce settlements, child support, dividing up property if your spouse is dead. And I find this a very interesting coincidence. All these spouses dying within months of each other. And the common denominators are Chad and Lori Daybell. Thank you for your time. Subject matter number 3. Tylee Ashland Ryan was born September 24th, 2002. Suspected death September 9th, 2019. Joshua Jackson J. Vallow, May 25th, 2012. Expiration September 23rd, 2019. Were 2 American children from Chandler, Arizona, who disappeared in September of 2019, whose remains were found buried in shallow graves June 9, 2020, in Rexburg, Idaho, in their stepfather Chad Daybell's backyard. Tylee was last seen alive at Yellowstone National Park on September 8, 2019. Her younger adopted brother, JJ, was last seen alive on September 23, 2019, at Rexburg's Kennedy Elementary School. He was initially reported missing by relatives concerned about not only the children, whom they had not heard from in weeks, but also several other suspicious incidents. In November 2019, police questioned the children's mother, Lori Cox Yanes Legioa Ryan Vallow Daybell, about the children's whereabouts and welfare. Lori and her new fifth husband, Chad Guy Daybell, claimed that JJ was staying with family friend Melanie Gibb in Arizona, where they had lived before moving to Idaho in early September 2019, which Gibb later denied. Police efforts to locate JJ led to the discovery that Tylee was also missing. Complicating circumstances around the disappearances was a string of suspicious deaths. Lori's estranged fourth husband, Charles Vallow, was shot and killed in July of 2019 by Lori's brother, Alexander Cox, who claimed self-defense. Cox died of a blood clot on December 12, 2019. In early October 2019, Brandon Boudreaux, then estranged husband of Lori's niece, Melanie, was shot at the driveway in his Gilbert, Arizona home from a vehicle still registered to the deceased Charles Vallow. October 2019, Chad's wife, Tammy Daybell, was attacked in her driveway by what she believed, was someone shooting a defective paintball gun. A few weeks later, on October 19th, she died in her sleep from what was initially recorded as natural causes. No postmortem or autopsy was initially performed. After Chad and Lori's marriage, 2 weeks after Tammy's death, law enforcement became suspicious and exhumed Tammy's corpse for autopsy. February 2020, Lori was arrested in Kauai, Hawaii, and charged with desertion and non-support of her dependent children. She was extradited to Idaho and transported there by officials on March 5, 2020. On June 9, 2020, police executed a search warrant at Chad's home and discovered the remains of JJ and Tylee. Chad was arrested later that day on charges of destruction or concealment of evidence. On May 25, 2021, Lori and Chad were charged with first-degree murders of Tylee, JJ, and Tammy. And Tammy was the wife of Mr. Chad. On February 2020, Lori was arrested by the Kauai Police Department in Princeville, Hawaii, charged by prosecutors in Madison County, Idaho, with 2 felony counts of desertion, non-support of dependent children. Also charged with 3 misdemeanors: resisting or obstructing officers, criminal solicitation to commit a crime, contempt of court. Lori was held on a $5 million bail. She later agreed to be extradited back to Idaho to fight the charges. The judge lowered her bail to $1 million. On May 1st, 2020, Lori appeared for a court hearing in Rexburg to request a reduction of her $1 million bail. The judge denied her request. At least 2 local bond companies were reportedly unwilling to work with her. March 24th, 2020, NBC News reported on documents showing that Chad and Lori became convinced that Tylee and JJ were possessed and had become zombies. June 9th, 2020, police executed a search at Chad's home where they discovered human remains buried in a purported pet cemetery. Chad was booked into jail later that day on obstruction or concealment of evidence, later charged with felony murder. June 10th, his bail was set at $1 million. On July 2nd, prosecutors dropped 2 of the charges against Lori, 2 felony counts of desertion, non-support of dependent children, and instead charged her with obstruction or concealment of evidence in regards to the children's remains. July 17th, 2020, in light of 2 felony counts against Lori having been dropped, her bond was lowered by Madison County Judge Michelle Mallard. Judge Mallard decided to decrease bond to $50,000 on each charge, totaling $150,000, but noted that Chad would still need to post his $1 million in neighboring Fremont County to get out of jail. In addition to the bond reduction, a jury trial for the Madison County charges against Lori was set January 25th through the 29th, 2021. On May 25th, 2021, Chad and Lori were indicted on the charge of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and grand theft by deception for the deaths Tylee and JJ and Tammy. Lori was charged with grand theft related to Social Security survivor benefits, over $1,000 allocated for the care of minors, Tylee, Ryan, and JJ Vallow, that were appropriated after the children were missing and ultimately found deceased. Chad was charged with insurance fraud related to a life insurance policy he had on Tammy Daybell, for which he was the beneficiary and received funds after her death. May 27, 2021, Lori was found incompetent, unfit to stand trial, and her case was stayed. She has since been deemed competent to stand trial after mental health treatment. Incompetent and again, competent. Requests from Chad to separate his case from Lori's have been denied. A start date of January 23rd for both trials has been set, but was canceled in November 22 without a new date being set. Well, all that's changed. She is to go to court to stand trial. Both are being tried separately, Chad Daybell and Lori Daybell. And she has been found competent to stand trial. June 10th, 2020, the Woodcock Ryan families confirmed that human remains found on Chad's property were those of Tylee JJ. This finding was officially confirmed by the Rexburg police June 13th. Since the children's remains were found, they are no longer considered missing. The investigation is now focused on determining the circumstances surrounding their deaths. Timeline. March 9th, 1990, Chad Daybell and Tamara Douglas are married. 2001, Lori Noreen Cox marries Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr. September 24th, 2002, Tylee Ryan is born to Lori and Joseph, who later divorced. February 24th, 2006, Lori Ryan marries Charles Vallow. 2007, Alex Cox, Lori's brother, attacks Joseph Ryan with a taser and threatens his life. Cox sentenced to 90 days in jail and 5 years probation. December 2011, Alex Cox's probation ends more than 1 year before it was originally scheduled to end in May 2013. May 25th, 2012, Joshua Jackson J.J. Vallow was born, the son of Charles Vallow's nephew. His birth name was Canaan Todd Tran. July 2014 to February 2019, Charles and Lori adopt Joshua J.J. Vallow in July 2014. At the end of 2014, Charles and Lori moved to Kauai, Hawaii with Tylee and J.J. Mid-2017, the Vallows moved to Arizona. April 3rd, 2018, Joseph Ryan dies of apparent heart attack. December 5th, 2018, Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow meet. December 5th, 2018, they meet. February 2019 to March 2019, which is about a year, I guess, later. So Lori Vallow disappears for 58 days. Very interesting. February 8, 2019, Charles Vallow files for divorce from Lori. So when you go back, it shows the 5th of December 2018, Chad meets Lori. February 2019 to March, which was just been a few months later, she disappears. So December they meet in 2018. January, February is only 2 months later. Lori goes missing for 58 days. So in that same month, February 8, 2019, Charles files for divorce from Lori. In the filing, Charles claims that in late January 2019, Lori threatened to murder him if he got in the way of her preparations for Christ's second coming, July 2020. So she meets Chad December 18. 2 months later, she's gone missing. Her husband files for divorce. And the month before that, Lori threatened him with murder if he got in the way of the second coming. That was coming the following year and a half later. Very interesting. July 11, 2019, Charles Vallow is shot dead in Chandler, Arizona by Lori's brother, Alex Cox, who claimed self-defense. Local police closed the case. July 12, 2019, Lori Vallow notifies Charles' sons from another marriage of his death via text message. She repeatedly dodges their questions regarding the case, the cause of death. Why? You take off after meeting a man, go missing for 2 months, your husband files for divorce. Same year, July, she dodges the questions of the family members pertaining to the death of her husband, Charles. Days after Charles Vallow's death, this is still July 2019, Lori learned her late husband had changed the beneficiary of his $1 million policy to his sister, Kay Woodcock, who was also JJ's paternal grandmother. August 10, 2019, the next month, it's the last time the grandparents, Larry and Kay Woodcock, reportedly speak with JJ. August 30th, 2019, Lori returns JJ's service dog, citing a change in life circumstances. How interesting. So August 10th, Larry and Kay speak with JJ. 20 days later in August, Lori returns the service dog belonging to JJ. So 9 times out of 10, he was already dead by August 30th, 2019. Let's jump to September 2019 to November 2019. September 2019, Lori with Tylee and JJ moved to Rexburg, Idaho to be with Chad Daybell. Okay, so now it says in August she returned the dog, but then now it says here in September she moved with the 2 kids to Rexburg to be with Chad. So allegedly they were last alive in September. So that means she was planning to kill these kids in August, because they're last seen in September. This is very interesting information. September 8th, 2019, Tylee is last seen in Yellowstone National Park along with Lori, Alex, and JJ. So Alex is the brother. So allegedly, the girl child is last seen with Lori and JJ September 8th at Yellowstone National Park. September 23rd, which is weeks later, JJ is last seen at his new school, Kennedy Elementary in Rexburg, Idaho. Did Lori and Alex kill the girl child at Yellowstone National Park and then moved her body to Idaho for burial? Because I know these are 2 separate locations, Yellowstone and where she and her brother were found discarded on Chad's property. Very interesting. September 23rd, JJ's last seen at his school in Rexburg, Kennedy Elementary. September 24th, Lori informed JJ's school that he will no longer be attending and will be homeschooled instead. So that's the next day. So that means he was seen at school on the 23rd of September. The next day, she notifies the school he's going to be homeschooled. October 1st, Lori rents storage locker in Rexburg in which children's belongings are later found. October 2nd, 2019, Brandon Boudreaux, Lori Vallow's nephew-in-law, is the target of a failed drive-by in Gilbert, Arizona, by someone driving a green Jeep Cherokee registered to Charles Vallow. October 9th, 2019, Tammy Daybell calls police after a masked assailant attempted to shoot her in her garage with what she believed was a paintball gun. Who was this person that tried to shoot her with a paintball? And why a paintball gun? What was that supposed to do to her? Because that's not a real gun. Now that's October 9th. October 19th, 10 days later, she's found dead in Salem, Idaho, approximately 5 miles away from Rexburg. The death was initially ruled natural causes, but as of February 11, 2020, was reopened and under investigation. October 2019, Lori's brother, Alex Cox, believed to be seen on video security using Lori's storage unit numerous times during this period, usually alone. So what was he doing in October in her storage unit, Alex? Why no autopsy done on Tammy Daybell by Mr. Chad? Did she die of natural causes, or was she murdered with a secret agent that couldn't be detected? And the fact he didn't do an autopsy, that would be the reason why you wouldn't do an autopsy, because perhaps she was poisoned or given something. October 31st, November 1st, 2019. Alex Cox, Lori's niece, Melanie Boudreaux, reportedly seen by Melanie's ex-husband, Brandon Boudreaux, packing up in Chandler, Arizona, before driving up to Rexburg and discarding children's items on the curb. Some of the information comes from a private investigator hired by Brandon Boudreaux after the October 2nd shooting. So who shot at this person in the driveway of Gilbert, Arizona? Brandon Boudreaux, Lori Vallow's nephew-in-law, was the target of a failed drive-by shooting by a car that was registered to Charles Vallow. So who was driving Charles' car shooting at this nephew-in-law? Did Lori try to kill the nephew of her niece, the husband of her niece? And why? Or was it Alex shooting out the car? Why were they trying to kill this man? What had he done to the daughter or them? I mean, the niece. This is very confusing information. But it all leads back to these two. That's the point of the story. All common denominators, Chad and Lori, deaths of people, shootings, all lead to them. They're the common denominator. Putting clothes and shoes and whatever out on the curb, toys. Why? You'd only do that if you expect not to expect the people to return. The children to return. Okay. Let's finish this. It's very winded. Once again, October 31st through the November 1st, Alex, Lori's niece, Melanie, reportedly seen by Melanie's ex-husband, Brandon. So now here's the connection. Melanie's ex-husband, Brandon, was the one that was shot at in the driveway. So was he divorced at that time when he got shot at? Because that's October to November. When you go back months up, October 2nd, he was shot at the Gilbert, Arizona house by Charles Vallow's Jeep. Now you go to the end of October to November 1st, not even a month later, the wife, the niece, is packing up with Alex to move to Rexburg. And the husband, Brandon, is the alleged person to see these people packing up. Very interesting. Discarding children's items on the curb, seen by a private investigator hired by Brandon Boudreaux after the October 2nd shooting. November 4th, 2019, Alex Cox and Melanie Boudreaux arrive in Rexburg. November 5th, 2019, Lori Vallow marries Chad Daybell in Hawaii. November 6th, Rexburg Police Department conducts a well-being check on JJ, and Lori claims that he's with relatives in Arizona, and Tylee's at Brigham Young University in Idaho. November 27th, Chad and Lori are seen packing. They abandon everything in Rexburg, including the contents of Lori's storage unit, and disappear until found in Kauai in late January. November 27th, Rexburg police search for the children, to no avail, with search warrants to the 3 apartments of Lori, Alex, a.k.a. Alex Pastanis, and Melanie Boudreaux. November 29th, Alex Cox marries Zulema Pastanis of Gilbert, Arizona in Las Vegas. November 30th, newly divorced Melanie Boudreaux marries Ian Pawlowski of Rexburg in Las Vegas, one day after Alex Cox, Melanie's uncle, wed Zulema Pastanis. Cox legally changed his name to Alex Pastanis just before marriage. This is the craziest mess I have ever heard. I'm lost for words. All this shuffling around, children missing, discarding out items, not responding to the family members pertaining to JJ, moving from place to place, to Rexburg, everybody marrying different partners, the niece marrying another man, the brother Alex marrying some Hispanic woman. Everybody's marrying each other in days of each other. He changing his name to the woman's last name, which is unheard of. Usually a woman takes a man's name. This would make you wonder if he knew he had been doing wrong, shooting people, killing people. He didn't want to be found, so he changed his name to the woman's last name. And then next thing you know, he mysteriously dies of a blood clot. Don't you find all this interesting? The niece's husband getting shot at. She marries a different guy. The uncle marries another woman. Lori marries Chad. All this in a span of months in 2019 from the late summer. And then when you go back in that winter of 2019, Lori takes off with Chad to Hawaii and gone for 58 days. January, February 2019. And then all these deaths pop off in what? September 2019. Besides the deaths of his wife, Lori's husband. 5 husbands. Chad Daybell makes husband number 5. Why? And all this second coming BS. Threatening her husband. She'd kill him if he got in the way of the second coming. Well, Lori, it's 2023 and Jesus ain't came yet. So what's up with that? Maybe you were talking to somebody else because it wasn't Jesus. All right, everybody, let's finish this up. Once again, November 29th, Alex marries Zulema. And the next day, as they said, one day after Alex Cox wed Zulema, he legally changed his name to Alex Passinis just before the marriage on the 30th. And he married Zulema on the 29th. December 2019 to March 2020. December 11, 2019, authorities decide to further investigate the death of Tammy Daybell. December 12, 2019, Alex dies in Gilbert, Arizona. A 911 call is made by someone who identifies Alex as their mother's boyfriend and to report his collapse in the bathroom of the home of his new wife, Zulema Passinis. His death is later attributed by autopsy to natural causes, i.e. blood clots, high blood pressure. December 20th, 2019. How convenient. Our little murderer dies of blood clots. Yeah, okay. Just saying. December 20, Rexburg decides to investigate the disappearances of Tylee and JJ. They announced this publicly. January 3rd, 2020, Rexburg Police Department, FBI searched Chad and Tammy's former home in Idaho. January 25th, 2020, authorities locate Chad Daybell and Lori in Hawaii and serve Lori with court papers, required her to produce the children within 5 days. January 30th, 2020, Lori misses court ordered deadline to produce the 2 children. February 10th, 2020, CBS News reports that they find Tylee's cell phone with Lori's belongings in Hawaii. So that means Tylee wasn't at the college. Because why would Lori have her cell phone? February 24th, 2020, child custody court documents. Brandon Boudreaux says Ian Pulaski told law enforcement that Melanie conspired with her uncle Alex Cox to kill Brandon. Brandon also alleges these papers that police investigating Melanie's role in the disappearance of the children as well as Brandon's shooting. So in February 2020, Ian Pulaski, the new husband, told law enforcement that Melanie conspired with their uncle to kill Brandon. Isn't this interesting? And Brandon alleged that the police are investigating Melanie's role in the disappearance of the children as well as Brandon, his own shooting. February 26, 2020, extradition hearing. Judge refuses to lower Lori's $5 million bail. She remained incarcerated at that time in Kauai, awaiting extradition to Idaho. March 6, 2020, first hearing after extradition to Hawaii to Idaho, court lowers her bail, $5 million to $1 million. March 9th, Lori remained in jail. Local bondsmen did not want to assist her. That was March 9th, 2020. June 9th, 2020, human remains are found on Chad's property in Salem, Idaho. Daybell is arrested later that day. He's charged with 2 felony counts of destruction, alteration, concealment of evidence, held in Fremont County Jail, June 10th, 2020. Kay Woodcock, the biological grandmother of J.J. Vallow, announces that one of the sets of human remains belongs to J.J. Vallow. The Ryan family confirmed the second set belonged to Tylee Ryan. June 13th, authorities officially confirmed the remains are those of children. Court documents later showed that Tylee's body was dismembered and partially burned, while JJ's body was wrapped in black plastic bags secured with duct tape. So they possibly cut up Tylee's body at Yellowstone. That was the purpose of taking her and the boy child out there. Lori and her brother probably killed her, bagged her up and brought her back, and then later killed the little boy and buried them both in the same grave. This is so disturbing. June 29th, 2020, police execute another search warrant at the home of Chad Daybell. July 17th, Lori's jury trial was set in Madison County for January 25th to the 29th, 2021 on misdemeanor charges, 3 misdemeanor charges. August 7, 2020, it's reported that Chandler, Arizona police are planning to file a conspiracy to commit murder charge against Lori in the death of Charles. August 21st, Chad Daybell pleads not guilty to all 4 felony counts against him. Now we jump to 2021, January to March. January 11th, Chad Daybell's trial was scheduled to begin 25th through the 29th. Her misdemeanor charges were scheduled to begin Lori's. February 4th, 21, Lindsay Blake takes over the Fremont County case involving Tamara Daybell's death. Prosecutor. March 22nd, 21, scheduled court date for Lori Vallow and Chad. Their cases have been merged and their team has moved to dismiss the charges obtained to change of venue. May 21 to August 21. May 25th, Lori and Chad are charged with the murders of Tamara Daybell, Tylee Ryan, J.J. Vallow. That was 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago, May 25th, 21. May 27th, Lori Vallow is deemed incompetent, unfit to stand trial. Due to this, there's a stay in her case in Idaho. That was May 27, 21. Jump to the next month, June 29th. Lori Vallow is indicted by the Arizona grand jury for conspiracy to murder of her husband, Charles Vallow. July 29th, same year. Prosecution dropped charges for conspiracy to destroy, alter, or conceal evidence against Chad Daybell and Lori. August 5th, prosecution announced that they're seeking the death penalty for Chad Daybell. August 6th, James Archibald, a death penalty certified attorney, is appointed as co-counsel for Lori Vallow. August 26th, Chad Daybell waives his right to a speedy trial. August 30th, Lori found to be incompetent due to incompetent status update of a mental health facility. Another hearing was set for September 8th. On the same day, Chad Daybell had a closed hearing. It's a lot of information. Sorry, but this is just to give you an update of all the things that have happened, of the deaths of everyone and the finding of the bodies. Just a few more to read, and I'll be done. Okay. So in August of 21, she was found to be incompetent at the end of August. September 21 through December. September 8th, Lori was still incompetent. She was given another 180 days. October 8th, Chad got a change of venue. September 28th, Mark Means from Lori Vallow's defense team. He was removed as a conflict of interest relating to having previously represented her husband, Chad. Now we go into the new year, March 22 to June. March 3rd, prosecutors announced they will not file a conspiracy to commit murder charges against Chad Daybell in the attempted shooting case of Brandon Boudreaux. Well, I guess they felt like Chad wasn't involved in that. I don't know. March 21st, 2022, Chad requested a separate case from Lori Vallow's case. The judge denied it. Judge denied Chad's request to separate. But as we know now, they are being tried separately. Why did he not want to be tried with Lori? Why? Was that his recommendation from his attorney at that time, or that's what Chad wanted? Just curious. April 11th, Judge Boyce declares that Lori Vallow is competent to stand trial, released from the mental facility and into the custody of Fremont County Sheriff. April 19, 22, Lori Vallow is arraigned. She was silent as her lawyers put in the plea of not guilty for her. Trial date was set at October 11th through December 16, 2022. April 28, 2022, Judge Boyce denied request from Chad Daybell's attorney to drop his charges. The judge also denies a request from prosecutors to have the jury transported from Ada County to Fremont County and reaffirms that the trial will happen in Ada County. May 2nd, 2022. Prosecution announced they will be seeking the death penalty of Lori Vallow, asserting that she qualifies for the capital punishment because the killings were exceptionally depraved and financially motivated. May 26th, start date of her trial. It changed to October 11th to January of this year. This was to make sure that she and Chad will be tried together. July 22 to the present. In July of 2022, her attorney asked the judge, Mr. Boyce, to clarify the language and charges separating potentially joint counts. September 22, Chad's lawyer asked that his case be separated from his wife. His lawyers also asked that the trial be pushed back to fall of 2023. That was September 28, 2022. September 29, for the second time, Lori's trial was suspended due to competency concerns. No new trial date was set, which we know she just got a new trial date. November 15th, District Judge Stephen Boyce ruled that Lori Vallow was competent to stand trial. Second ruling of incompetence, January 23, trial date was canceled. December 8th, 2022, new trial date was set for April 3rd, 2023. March 3rd of this month, judge has severed the case of Chad and Lori Vallow. Very winded. I'm now approaching hour number 2. This is subject matter number 3 for this live stream. These two are to stand trial for the murder of Tammy, Chad's wife, JJ, and Tyler. Do you think these two will turn on one another? Was she coerced, misled by this cult following of Mr. Chad, and she was just naive and went along with the fact that she thought these children were zombies? Did she know about the death of Tammy? Did she conspire anyway with Chad to kill his wife? Because this is all in a short time frame, these deaths and shootings of people. And at some point, you'd have to say to yourself, why did they choose these certain people to be zombies? So now we're supposed to believe that what? Brandon was a zombie. Lori's niece's husband, he was a zombie. So why were you all exempt from being zombies yourselves? JJ's a zombie. Tylee, Brandon, Charles, Tammy. So we got a husband and a wife. They're dead. 2 children, 4. Shooting at Brandon, an attempt, 5. So all these people are zombies except for Chad, Lori, and the niece. Stay woke. And Alex. A brother, a niece, and a couple who have successfully murdered their spouses. And one can say, yes, this is all for money, insurance money, to get rid of these people so they can gladly be together. It has nothing to do with any apocalypse, no zombies coming, no second coming of Christ. You don't even have the right to put zombies and Christ in the same conversation. It's disrespectful and it's ignorant. The only zombies walking around is Chad, Lori, the niece, and the other one, he's dead. That's Alex. And how convenient he dies of a blood clot after killing all these people. So was he also easily coerced with this zombie apocalyptic BS? Listen to her mother speak about her in an interview recently. And I don't even think she thinks there's anything wrong with her daughter. She goes on to talk about her life growing up, how she was trying to rededicate herself to God from all these failed relationships, marriages. But how do you go from trying to find Jesus to killing your family members and blame it on the apocalypse? The zombie second coming, or however you want to word it. There's no such thing. You see, you can't explain killing people and using Christ as the answer. Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. That's why we kill these people. Jesus didn't tell you to kill those kids, those husband and wife, shoot at the nephew. It's a choice. You all wanted to be together without any hassles, without dividing a property. Lori thought there was a payout, but the husband was smart enough to take her off the beneficiary, and she was sorely disappointed. And I'm sure shocked. What? No money? Damn. No money? Uh-oh. I don't need these kids either. Who would kill their own damn kid? And then you killed a little boy that was special needs, brought him into your life with your husband to kill him. It wasn't even your kid. But it doesn't matter. He still looked at her as a mother. And you killed your own daughter. You're evil. And one could sit here and think that you were bamboozled by Chad. He misled you, used you. But you took the lives of people, and that leads us to believe you knew better. And it was for greed and selfish purposes only. Self-serving purposes. No apocalypse, no Jesus coming, no zombies taking over the earth. You just listen at that bullshit. You went along with the flow because you can't go from apocalypse to murder. Hello, it's me. Was she already messed up in the head? Possibly. Too many husbands, for one. Too many husbands. You had a girl child you were taking care of at one point. You got too many husbands. Then you meet this husband, Charles. You get this kid in your toe under your belt. You're walking around a zombie yourself. Charles didn't know. Was he a great guy? I don't know. Flawed, possibly. How does he end up dead? Tammy ends up dead. Nephew ends up shot. And then that same niece married another guy in Rexburg. Just so happened. And then we have that same husband saying he knew about the plot to kill Brandon. And whomever else. So for interesting information. So Ian's going to be a star witness. So what made him decide to talk, Mr. Pulowski or whatever his name is? He backtracked for just a second. But this is some long information. Because Arizona decided not to try Chad for the shooting case of Brandon. Guess they didn't have any evidence that he conspired to that. But I'm going to go back up here to this BS. So much you can't even keep up. Wikipedia is the source if you're curious. Chad and Lori abandoning everything in Rexburg, including Lori's storage unit. Disappear found in Kauai late January. That's January 20. But they packed up the storage and all that stuff November 27, 2019. Month before, discarding stuff out on a curb. This is from a private investigator Brandon hired. See, all this goes month for month. Tammy being shot with a paintball gun, October 9th, 2019. October 2nd. Somebody's shooting at Brandon. Drive-by shooting. See, this is crazy to me. January all the way up to winter, 2019. All these people dying, people marrying each other. It's a very disturbing case. That's why I never talked about it when it first came out. Because once I heard all these different names, people dying, Charles, Tammy, okay, then this shooting of Brandon, everybody marrying each other within days of each other. See, it's too complicated. Too complicated. Will they put the murder on the brother, Alex? He can't defend himself. I do believe he killed the kids. He helped Lori. I believe Lori participated. Whether she orchestrated it, took a blow, cut up the girl, it's all the same. Wrapped the little boy, wrapped her up, it doesn't matter. She orchestrated this. And it has nothing to do with apocalypse, second coming, or zombies. Selfish reasons. Because at some point, your mind should tell you, whether you believe in whatever, how do you go from believing in the apocalypse to killing people? And the way she behaved when somebody was trying to track her down in Hawaii, they found her rather, and they were trying to get her to speak. Her and Chad just walking along. No movement in their face. No, nothing. No crying, no tears, no sorrow, no nothing. Just emptiness. 2 demon seeds using Jesus Christ Superstar as a crutch, as I call it, pimping Jesus. Oh, Jesus is the reason for the season. Nah, not your season. Blasphemy. To even put Jesus in the same conversation with zombies. There's no such thing. Just something made up. And I believe at some point in the beginning that Chad probably had a very heavy hand in her thinking process. But as I said, at some point, when the subject came up about murder, Lori knew better. Because you're talking about too many people in the storyline dead. How do you go from killing your husband, his wife allegedly dies in her sleep or whatever, and then your 2 children also murdered? And your brother is the common denominator in the children's deaths and your husband's death. That's no coincidence. So what am I supposed to believe? Zombies were in the room when Charles and her brother had an altercation in that house when he shot him. The zombies told Alex to shoot Charles. Or the zombies were telling Charles to hit Alex. How did it go? Make it make sense. One doesn't negate the other, you see. That's why you know all this is orchestrated, because there's too many people dead. And you can't blame the Bible and Jesus and the apocalypse. Somebody wanted Tammy dead in that garage. Or maybe they used that paintball to scare her. But she died shortly later, allegedly of natural causes. Everybody's conveniently out of the way. Don't you find that interesting? And the one that ends up as what I call the henchman, which is Alex, He dies in December 2019, allegedly of natural causes or blood pressure, blood clot. Who's to say that woman didn't poison him to have a heart attack? Because you have all kind of drugs that can affect you differently to get you dead. Because could it be that everybody is trying to plot the death of somebody else for financial gain and self-serving purposes just to get rid of them, and then they meet their maker? And I think that's what happened with Alex. You've plotted the deaths of other people with your sister, and then months later you end up dead. What are the odds? You should have high blood pressure. And I heard that lady talk, that wife, about him putting plastic on the bed in that hotel room or wherever in Las Vegas. And I thought that was strange. So I didn't know if he was trying to kill her or what. I was confused. Was he paranoid, hearing things? Schizophrenic what? Or his conscience was just whooping his ass and he realized his time was coming too. Maybe the Reaper had paid Alex a visit. Started dancing on his shoulder, telling him, now, Alex, you've done some dirty stuff. You know your time's winding down too. Was he using drugs? Drug user? Because your mind will start to play tricks on you. You working for the devil, and he ain't paying you nothing. So from time to time, I can see the devil paying Alex a visit to let him know, oh, I'll be back to collect the payment. You can't think I just used you, and you aren't going to be susceptible to the same fate that you rendered those children and Charles. And possibly tried to kill Brandon. Oh, I got to collect. Because that's my damn job. I'm the debt collector. I use you. And then I come back to kill you. Is that what happened to Alex Cox? That all that working for Satan, in the end, he got his own life snuffed out by a bad heart? Or who's to say he wasn't poisoned? I don't know. You be the judge. Lori, what version are you going to give 12 members of the jury? Are you going to say it's all your brother? He was just following orders from this cult orchestrated by Chad. And he did this because these kids were zombies. Charles was a zombie. Everybody was a zombie except for you all. How convenient. Chad, are you going to turn on your wife? Are you going to finally wake up after this fog you've been in? This sick fog of getting rid of your wife and telling Lori to get rid of her family and own your part in the destruction of these lives. Both of you and the decedent Alex Cox. One could say that they're all demon seeds separately, that they all were jacked up mentally before they all crossed each other's paths. So now we have to ask what type of rearing did Alex and his sister have, Lori. You hear the mother speaking in interviews. She doesn't sound like she's wrapped too tight either. All that makeup painted on her face, war paint, talking in circles. I think she's detached from reality too, from what I've seen of the mother, Lori Vallow Daybell. Maybe they weren't raised right. It was an illusion. Being raised with parents and talking about Jesus in the background, but your kids didn't get what they needed, which some would say are morals. They fell short because maybe the parents lacked morals as well. And they were hiding behind the Bible or whatever instructional book they use out there. I don't know. Book of Mormon, I don't know. Don't really care. It's all the same to me. Somebody's been misled. And it was the blind leading the blind. And that's why we have true crime. Because many people have been misled. That's what leads them to crime. And then they go out and they push that venom on other people. And then they become misled. But in the end, you're grown. You're a free thinker. And you're not supposed to be a follower. But some people are easily coerced to do wrongdoings. Mischief, mayhem. Is that the case with Lori? She got misled by Chad. And then she spread that venom to her brother. And then he became misled. And so he was at Lori's beck and call. But we also get information a while ago that the relationship between Lori and the brother may have seemed a bit incestual. So did he ever molest his sister? Because you hear this woman talking. I believe it's this lady who married him. And she said they were a little too touchy-feely. I think I played you information about that not too long ago in a live stream. That he was very sexual toward his sister, touching her, picking her up, which this lady deemed inappropriate behavior for a brother and a sister. And I think the mother kind of shucked it off as no big deal. You know, boob jokes. That type of commentary. When we know that's inappropriate for a man to ever say anything sexual to his sister or about his sister or brother. Even if you know your sister has big boobs, it shouldn't be a topic of conversation. You shouldn't be touching her boobs or her rear. You see where I'm going. Was there sexual misdeeds between the two at any point in their lives as children or adults? Because we do hear of adults having sex with their brothers and sisters. So then you have to ask what was going on in their household as children. Was there some inappropriate touching of Lori Vallow and her brother? Because that is a learned behavior at some point. Children are naturally curious. They will touch each other, possibly touch their own siblings, cousins, but somebody has to know the right to tell them that's not appropriate once it's been discovered. So I'm starting to wonder if any of these parents were touching their children or walking around in front of their children indisposed. And I think I may have thought I heard something about that when they were growing up. Maybe the parents were a bit overt in their sexuality and not being dressed in front of their children. You know, naturally it's normal for a mother to walk through her own house in her bra and panties. But at some point as your children get older, especially a boy child, he does not need to see his mother walking around in her bloomers and her brassiere. That's just out of respect. So I wonder if these parents misled their children, if you understand what I'm saying. They weren't guiding their kids properly as far as sexuality, how to dress, and also the Bible or the Book of Mormon or however it go. I don't know what these people believe in. I really don't care. Because what I always say to myself is when people pretend that the crimes a person has been accused of is no big deal and they laugh it off and shuck it off like it's nothing, that leads me to wonder how they actually reared their children. And I got a feeling Lori and her brother were misled by their parents. There was some hanky-panky in the child rearing department. And that's why she ended up getting all these husbands, having tumultuous relationships with her husbands, and the last one before marrying Chad. What were her marriages like, Lori? Was there physical abuse, verbal abuse with all of her marriages? How did Chad actually treat her in the short time they were married before they were arrested? Because he looks like he's quiet. He doesn't speak much. But we know he talks because he believed in this doomsday theory. And you can't believe in that type of stuff without opening your mouth. So perhaps he has two sides to him. And we know he has two sides because he has a dead wife, and I don't think she died of natural causes. Because it's too convenient, everybody falling off the earth. Dead kids, dead husband, dead wife. nephew-in-law being shot in a whole nother state. And then that same wife marrying somebody else in Rexburg out of the blue when they all moved to Rexburg. Stay woke. Children missing. Different people marrying each other. All within days of each other. All got husbands and wives either dead or divorced. Chad's wife's gone. Lori's husband dead. And the niece's husband was attempt on his life, but he and her are not together no more. What are the odds? Everybody swapping out partners within a short amount of time. Not even a year. Weeks. Everybody's got a new partner. Let's dance. That's what this is, a David Bowie song. Everybody's swapping out partners. And the partners can't talk because they're 6 feet under. Stay woke. I got a feeling that somebody's going to turn on the other one. Chad's going to turn on her or she's going to turn on him. Take your pick. They're going to blame the dead guy. Oh, he did all of this because of this apocalyptic blah, blah, blah. He thought it was real. He killed my kids. I didn't know he did it. I was scared to say anything. That's why I kept quiet. That's why I couldn't produce the children. I was scared. Is that going to register with 12 members of a jury, Lori, that you were scared of your brother? That he believed in this doomsday theory from your husband? So then people are going to say, well, then how does Chad fit into all this? He didn't find his stranger children were nowhere to be found? Oops, they were found on his property. Uh-oh. Imagine that. So what kind of defense are you going to have, Lori? Because you can't say you're crazy. So you're going to try to blame your brother. That means Chad would have to fit in that equation some kind of way because Chad was the orchestrator of this doomsday bullshit. So you can't have one without the other. Ting. So you're just going to blame it all on what? Chad and Alex. They did it. It's their fault. I was just following Jesus. They did everything. They did it. I didn't know nothing about it. And when I put 2 and 2 together that they killed my kids, I was scared. I was scared. My brother, he believed in this zombie stuff. I'm scared. And Chad, oh yeah, he killed my kids, but I was scared of him. I was afraid he'd try to kill me too. That what you're going to say, Lori? That what your lawyer's going to say? Are you going to testify, Lori? And what would Chad's defense be? Since he's the orchestrator of this doomsday conspiracy, writing all these books. I've never read any of them. No interest. Chad, who are you going to blame? What are you going to say? You were pussy whipped? Excuse my language. Lori had some good sex. You were mesmerized by that blonde-haired heathen. So who are you going to blame? Jesus? Lori? Zombies Incorporated? What's your defense? You can't blame that Alex. Or are you going to blame him too? I don't know what was going on. I was in love with Lori. Whatever was going on between she and her brother, I had no idea. And as far as this zombie stuff, well, I just believe Jesus was coming. And I don't know anything about these dead people. I didn't kill my wife. I didn't conspire with Lori to kill her husband. I have nothing to do with that niece's husband being shot in Gilbert, Arizona. I don't know nothing. What are you going to say, Chad? See, one of you is going to have to turn on the other one. That's the only way this is going to work. Somebody has got to say the other one knew about the kids, the wives, the husbands. But where that's going to be a problem is all of you have different entities that ended up dead. And you got to explain to 12 members of a jury how all of you all are the common denominators with all these dead people. So somebody has to blame the other one. That's the only way this is going to work. And Lori, you don't want to die, Because you like wearing lipstick and smiling in court and rocking back and forth and snuggling up to your lawyer. Then you realize, I caught you on camera. You kind of pushed your chair over because you realize, oh, this doesn't look good. Me sitting too close to my lawyer. They'll start gossiping and say I'm fraternizing with my lawyer. Well, he can't have sex with you. Where he's going to have sex with you? They're going to be recording everything. The most you all can do is touch hands or play footsies under the table. Sorry. See, I watched you in court, sitting with your attorney, and it was just something about your demeanor told me you knew everything that happened to the kids, the wives, the husbands, the nephew, whomever. And this ain't about no zombies. This ain't about no apocalypse. And this ain't about no Jesus coming back. This was all for self-serving purposes. You met Chad, fell in love, and you just wanted to be with him, vice versa. And this theory he had was just a good way to make excuse for wanting to be in the folds with this man. But all in all, if there were no zombie theories, you still would have fell for Chad if he was the garbage man or cashier at CVS. You see where I'm going. You are unhappy with Charles for whatever reason. And possibly had it not been for Chad, you would have fallen for some other bloke. And he may not have asked you to kill anybody, but you still would have disappeared. If it was just to a trailer park around the corner, you would have done it. Because you're weak-minded and you can't think for yourself. But that's your choice. And it's obvious that you have been looking for something, as your mother would say, strictly into religion, wanting to dedicate your life to Christ. But you didn't dedicate your life to Christ. You dedicated your life to Satan because you went from one extreme to the other, marrying all these different men, having a child, taking in somebody else's child, falling out with that husband, setting up the murder of your husband with your brother. I don't think that has anything to do with zombies. You knew he had some money and you wanted a piece of it. So you knocked your husband off. But sadly, for you, of course, Charles had already changed the policy and put his sister's name on it as the beneficiary. But then somebody could argue, but she's not mentally stable, Angela. I think she could have been a decent lady, but she got caught up in that zombie stuff and just fell for it. And maybe they just started talking about getting rid of these people because they're zombies, and one thing led to another. And they really thought they were good, decent people. One could say that was their forethought, that they're good, decent people trying to follow God. And everybody else was crazy and sick and demented. Somebody was coming to them telling them, hey, kill the husband, kill the wife, they're zombies. Kill that nephew, he's a zombie. Kill the kids, they're zombies. So what you have to ask yourself is the ultimate question. If you want to believe that they both believed in this zombie apocalypse, when were you going to stop killing people? Who was next? The friend that lived in Arizona? Were you going to kill her next? Because see, where there's a problem with this zombie shit, and I don't get really deep into that, is when you lied and said your son was at that friend's house. See, that's where this zombie stuff gets real tricky. Because now you're lying when you knew the kids were dead. If you really believed in this zombie apocalypse, Chad, Lori, and the niece as well, I'm going to loop you in there too, you would have no problem telling the police, yeah, I killed my wife. Yeah, I killed my husband. Yeah, I killed my 2 kids. And yes, I tried to kill Brandon because they are zombies. They were possessed. God told us he's coming in this year, and we had to sacrifice them, a part of this blah, 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 blah. See, that's what you should have told the police was the truth. Your truth. Because when you decide to lie and say the kids are here and here, you lied to say the daughter was in college, you lied to say JJ was gone with that lady, you were concealing the deaths of these people, which shows you have knowledge of right and wrong. So it can't be that these people were zombies, because you would have been able to freely tell police that they were. But the fact that you lied about the whereabouts of these kids, made up some lie that your husband was trying to fight your brother, which led him to kill him. Tammy's death believed to be suspicious now with all these dead people. This shows you knew right from wrong by lying, and that possibly there is no zombie apocalypse, that you did all this killing and murdering for self-serving purposes, such as you just wanted to be with Chad, and Chad wanted to be with you, and you all conspired to kill these people. End of story. But the gist of the story is that you're now caught, you're behind bars, no bail, and I find it very strange that that judge kept lowering your bail, Lori. Why, I don't know. It should have stayed at $5 million. Because sadly, we have sick people who would have gladly paid the bail. Thank God nobody offered up $500,000. And I don't know if they lowered it because they don't think you actually put your hands on the kids. Put your hands on Tammy. Shot at Brandon. But you're a part of the method. You're the method, the motivation. You're the culprit. Whether you ever touch any of the children, you were there because the kids were last seen with you. The daughter at the park and your son at the schoolhouse. So you were there either way. Whether you cut up an arm, leg, put the plastic bag over the kids, you were there. And I refuse to believe that you weren't. And you're going to have to prove to 12 members of a jury that you didn't orchestrate the deaths of the husband, the two kids, in any way in the death of Tammy. You do deserve death. Because as it says, the crimes are depraved. Who cuts up a child? And it'll be interesting to know if you cut her up at Yellowstone. Because now you're traveling around town to town with a dead person by vehicle. Let me see the state. One second, you guys. I'm going to Google something right quick. 1 second.
Wyoming. According to History.com, the vast majority of its territory is situated in Wyoming, but it also creeps into neighboring Montana and Idaho.
All right. What city is Yellowstone National Park in? Wyoming. Cody, Wyoming is the nearest town to Yellowstone National Park on the east side, about 50 miles from the entrance. Park County, Wyoming. Teton County. So, you're traveling around state to state with body parts. If we're to believe you killed that girl, Tylee, in Yellowstone Park. And then you waited a while to kill the son. Is that how it happened? You killed her in Yellowstone. You all took the body after being dismembered, state lines, and then buried her in the back of Chad's house. And then later you killed the little boy, you and your brother. Or Chad was there too. And then you all bagged him up and put him in the same grave. How did it go? Why would you kill your kids? You want me to believe at some point in your thinking, you did not realize this was wrong, killing your own children. No matter whatever you were told by Chad about zombies being together, whatever, you were their mother. So what are you going to tell 12 members of a jury why you felt it was okay to kill your kids and not deserve the death penalty? And you were ordered by the court to show those kids, get 5 days to produce them, and you chose not to. And you want sane people to believe you didn't maliciously kill your kids for self-serving purposes that had nothing to do with religion. Second coming of Christ. That's where I have the problem. That even if I'm to believe that you were mentally disturbed, you had some type of issues, schizophrenia, bipolar, dissociative disorder, 2 personalities, 8 personalities. At some point, my mind tells me you knew what you were doing was wrong as far as conspiring to kill Charles and the deaths of your 2 kids. And I'm supposed to believe that this is all because of Chad. And I do believe he has a great deal in why you did kill the kids and the husband. You wanted to be with him. You wanted to be free, clear, no ties. Because once you got rid of Charles, your mind said, you don't need the 2 kids either. The kid's more related to Charles than yourself. But the daughter is yours. So that's baffling to me. What type of man will lead a woman to think her children were zombies, husband's a zombie, and kill them? If we're to believe he ever told you that. So what did Charles tell you about your family for you to feel like they deserve death? I'm talking to you, Lori. What did he say to you that led you to think it was okay to kill your family? And the way you behaved in Hawaii showed the world you had no remorse for the deaths of these people. And Tammy as well. And also Brandon. That you orchestrated all the deaths and the shooting of Brandon. And it had nothing to do with religion. You just wanted to be free. And there are a lot of people like you, such as Kohberger, that you're self-serving and you just do whatever you want without repercussions or any reprimands by law, government, whomever. And you don't care about God, and you don't care about the wrath of God. But see, that's the one you should be concerned with. Not Idaho justice, not a needle to the arm, but God. Because I believe his punishment will be much worse than a jail cell, a prison cell, and a needle to the arm. Because his death will be hellacious. The lake of fire is everlasting. Do you hear what I'm saying to you, Lori and Chad? That death is final only for the flesh. But the soul will eternally burn forever. So you're willing to sacrifice all these deaths to burn forever in hell. Well, I must say, that's a hell of a swap. When you could have easily divorced your husband and went your merry way. And if you no longer wanted to take care of those children, you could have asked him to take the children or sent your daughter to her prospective parent, relative, grandparent, and kept it moving. Isme says, how does one keep up with this crazy stuff they supposedly did? Their mind is a really scary place because they went to great lengths to cover up. They're just evil narcissists. Well, they are narcissists. That's why I never talked about this story when it first came out. I never discussed it on YouTube because it was too many people in the storyline to keep up with. Lori, Chad, the brother, this mess with Brandon and the niece, Tammy, the two children. I was getting lost just reading the bio in Wikipedia. And if you need verification for the information I read, Wikipedia is the source of the timeline, the allegations, and the charges against the two. You see too many names, you will get lost, confused. I'm damn near hoarse just from reading the dates of everything that transpired with these heathens. And that's why you have to tell yourself that this isn't about religion. This is about greed, selfishness. And this is what a lot of people will do to be with another human being. They don't want to do it the right way because it takes too long when you're having to go to court, fight for rights of custody, monies, houses, chairs, shoes, televisions. They'd rather just kill the person and then keep it moving to the next person. And that's what happened here with these two. You know, this apocalypse bullshit, it plays a little portion to the storyline because maybe he does believe this junk. Maybe he did think God was coming and people were going to be zombies. He may have believed it. He wrote books about it allegedly, so maybe he does believe in it. I'm not going to say that he didn't believe in it. But the point is, when you start killing people, that's a whole separate entity besides the apocalypse. Because now you want us to believe somebody told you these people were evil and what you were doing was right by killing them. But who were you to kill these people if you did believe they were zombies? Prove to us God said kill those people. And once again, how many bodies were you going to rack up in the belief that they were zombies? When would you have stopped? Who was next? That's the point. You want us to believe you had no sound reasoning to stop killing these people. Because in the end, all the people you killed were related to you. You didn't kill any strangers. You didn't kill anybody at the schoolhouse. You didn't kill any of the neighbors. You didn't kill any of the town folks. So what are you trying to say? Everybody was zombies in your family, but there were no other zombies out in the street. That's why you know this was evil doing and personal. Had nothing to do with zombies. Because you didn't kill other random people. So only your family were zombies. What are the odds? So if they were zombies, why couldn't you be a zombie? Who gave you the right to say they were zombies and not yourselves? Because in the end, you two, you three, you four, Lori, Chad, Alex, and the niece, you're the zombies. You're the zombies. You're the evildoers. You're the evil ones. And sickly, 6 degrees of separation led you all four to cross paths with one another to execute these people for no damn reason. That's the common denominator. Lori, her brother, her niece, and Chad Daybell met in the universe. All sick minds, easily coerced, possibly already tainted spirits that meshed, evenly yoked in mayhem, evenly yoked by blood to kill innocent people. And they deserve justice. Tammy, Tylee, JJ, Brandon, and Charles. Exactly. Zombies walking around every day. you all chose these people for a reason. And that it was personal. And it had nothing to do with Jesus. Because Jesus doesn't need an executioner. Because if you are to believe in the scripture, he tells you not to kill. That is a sin to murder another human being. And he doesn't give you a clarification or a reason to get a pass. Murder is murder. You can ask for forgiveness. It will be up to him, his father, if they decides to forgive you. But these people did not deserve death. And they do deserve justice. And this is why I say, in most of my true crime stories pertaining to murder, that you do not know people. And Lori, her brother, the niece, Chad are examples, of not knowing people. That here you have pictures, videos of her talking to her kids, laughing with them, taking them to the beach, family outings, and now they're all dead. And you can believe that she was already tainted, or that Chad coerced her to kill these people. But somewhere in her thinking, she had to have known that it was wrong to murder these people. And to also have her brother in tow and niece in tow, you're going to have a strong case to put it all on Chad Daybell as the orchestrator and the ringleader to talk all of you into murder and attempted murder. Somebody is not going to believe that on the jury panel. That they are going to feel you all knew right from wrong and you just use this Jesus' second coming as an excuse to knock off these people so you all could be together. You see, God don't like ugly. And Alex found out the hard way. We're to believe he actually died from heart disease. That all that conspiring and murdering people, months later, he died himself. What are the odds? Karma came home. And that's usually what happens to people who kill people. They get death themselves early. Maybe not as brutal, but he did get death. Because you see, he wasn't supposed to be out here killing people. So the Reaper paid him a visit too. And that's what Lori and Chad need to think about. That even if you're in solitude in that jail and prison, then maybe the Reaper will also pay you a visit. And you will not get a long stay here on earth because of you conspiring and murdering children and spouses. That's why she doesn't want the death penalty. She knows what she did was wrong, and she doesn't want to die in there. Because you see, if she was truly demented, mentally incapacitated, it wouldn't bother her about getting the death penalty. Listen very carefully now. You see, somebody who was mentally disturbed, schizophrenic, it would mean nothing to them because they would be talking in gibberish and not making any sense. And they wouldn't have the fortitude to argue with their attorney about the death penalty. It wouldn't mean anything because they wouldn't even be of this universe mentally. This is why you know she knows better. Her attorney could easily walk into court and say, I don't believe my client should get the death penalty. And she would burst out and say, oh, Your Honor, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be with Jesus soon. He's coming. It doesn't matter. You see, that's what a sick person would say. Because they would have no fortitude to know what is right and what is wrong. This is why you know Lori does know right from wrong. Because she would have had outbursts by now in court to show that she's incompetent. Something's wrong with her. And all that she's been doing in the past couple of years is probably an act Because at one point a week or two ago, I said, maybe she really is sick. But then I had to weigh it all out. Is she crazy as the Yates lady that drowned her boys in the bathtub? Was that just an issue of postpartum depression, mental illness? What's the difference? Is Lori mentally ill? Or is she a she-devil? Is Chad mentally ill? Or a he-devil? Did Tammy just miraculously die in her sleep? Did Alex and Charles just get in an altercation and he defended himself against Charles and shot him dead in that house? What's the truth? Or do you believe these relatives were evil, already evil before they met Chad, and the universe linked them all together because they were of the same mindset, and mayhem flourished with their meeting and paths crossing? Because, they say like binds. People hang with people that they are actually alike. I don't really believe that, because I've seen a lot of good people hang with really bad people. And why they did it, I do not know. But it happens. That you attract what you are, I don't always believe that either. Some people just have bad luck. Or they, as I say, continue to be around people that don't mean them no good. It's still a choice. But people will judge you by your company at some point. And that's what you have to think about with the company that you keep. Eventually, somebody's going to judge you and say, why do you hang with that person? Why are you dating that person? Why are you married to that person? That's not you. That's not your caliber. That's not your weight. You can do better. So then why do we settle for less than? Emptiness, loneliness, insecure, gullible. You have to know your worth. And when you look at all these people and you divide them up individually, they didn't know their worth. Because if they knew their worth, they would have bailed out when they saw the signs that the relationships were deteriorating. But they hung in anyway. Charles going back and forth with her, and his death was being plotted. Did Tammy see signs with Chad? Did she know that he was sleeping around with Lori? So you have to ask all those questions. She hung in anyway. Or was she trying to get out the relationship? I don't know. Know the signs. So you don't end up a Charles story, a Tammy story, or a JJ and Tylee story. See, they were just children. How in the world would they know that their mother would be plotting their deaths? Even as a spouse, you don't know that someone's plotting your death. You're a partner. You're not thinking someone is plotting your death. And that's the scary part, is the not knowing. Every subject matter in this live has a source. I want to thank you for your time. Have a prosperous week. I do believe that one of these parties will probably turn on the other one when it's time for trial, because one of them or both will have to find a way to get out of getting the death penalty. And the best way of getting out of a death penalty is to say that somebody else did the murders and they had no knowledge. But then their attorney is going to have to prove to 12 members of a jury that they had no knowledge. And I don't think either party will be able to prove it, because they're going to have phone records, device records, the timeline of everybody meeting, the timeline of everybody marrying each person after the deaths of other spouses, it's not going to look good on paper. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App, stickers and chats are welcome during my live stream. Thank you for your time. Please check my community posts for breaking news, updates, stories, polls, movie suggestions. Please stay safe, stay warm. I will be bringing you more content later if my guest will come on. He would like to discuss the death of his sister. She was murdered several years ago, and that certain male has violated probation. It was a 10-year probation for the murder of Jashonta Murphy. And her brother would like to speak to the viewing audience on his feelings about her murder and the fact that this person was walking free and not in custody for the murder of his sister. She was brutally stabbed in an alleged drug deal gone bad. That is the allegation against the victim, who is no longer living. There are also some other parties who were there, or in the vicinity, rather, at the time of her death. And I will read you information from the affidavit pertaining to Jashonta Murphy's demise. I want to thank you all. And those who came in the viewing audience, thank you so much. God bless all of you. You have been listening to The Vault XL.